All right, so let's dive right into this deep dive about Kangna Sharma.
Sounds good to me.
We've got two main sources right here in front of us.
Yeah.
Her profile on famous birthdays, and then her page on the movie database, or as everyone calls it, TMDB.
Right.
And what we want to do is kind of take these sources and pull out the interesting parts and hopefully give you a better understanding of who she is and what her career has been all about so far.
Yeah, you know what's funny is right away looking at these two accounts is that even with like the basic information like her birthday and where she's from, there's a little bit of a difference right away, which makes you think how different sources collect and present information about people.
Yeah, for sure. Like right off the bat, you notice a little discrepancy with her birthday. Famous Birthdays lists it as April 3rd, 1991, which would make her 33 right now.
Okay.
But then if you go over to TMDB, it says March 17th, 1989.
Wow.
Which would make her 36.
Okay.
So that's a pretty big difference for something as like basic as when someone was born.
Yeah, and that I think, kind of clues you into like the focus and the way that these two different platforms work. Like if you think about it, Famous Birthdays is much more like, for fans, like a fan-centric kind of tracking popularity and trends. And then TMDB is much more like
a ledger almost. Yeah,
it's very much like, industry focused on, comprehensive credits and like very factual almost. So that discrepancy I think is interesting just in itself, just from like, what are we even looking at here?
Yeah, exactly, and what their different priorities are.
Yeah.
So they both agree that she was born in Mumbai, India.
Okay.
Although TMDB is a little more specific and it says Mumbai, Maharashtra.
Okay.
So with that initial kind of like mystery of the birthday, it's like, let's keep going and see what we can figure out about her career.
Yeah.
And I think the first thing is like how she first got public attention.
Okay.
Both sources point to one specific project as like a big turning point for her.
Yeah, and I think if you like zoom out a little bit and you think about, how careers in entertainment work.
Yeah.
It's so often like one role or one,
It's that one big break.
One project that really puts someone on the map.
Right.
And like gets them a much wider audience.
Yeah, both sources highlight her role in the 2016 film, The Great Grand Masti, as being, a huge moment in her career.
Yeah.
Famous Birthdays specifically mentions that after that film is when her Instagram following grew to over 2.5 million.
Oh.
So like a massive increase tied to this one project.
Yeah, that shows you a lot about how the modern entertainment industry works.
Right.
Where it's not just about the movies and TV, it's also about the online presence.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that social media is so huge and it can be directly affected by a big role like that.
Totally. Now, TMDB also mentions the Great Grand Masti.
Okay.
But it gives us a little bit more context around it.
Okay.
It says that this was actually her debut in Hindi cinema, or, what most people call Bollywood.
Right.
And that she starred in it alongside these pretty well-known actors, Vivek Oberoi, Ritesh Deshmukh, and Aftab Shivdasani.
Wow.
So that gives you kind of a clearer sense of the scale of how she entered this Bollywood scene.
Yeah, that context was really helpful because it wasn't like some small indie film. It was like she entered.
It was a mainstream Bollywood production.
Yeah, right away. And working with people who are already very established.
Yeah, for sure. Now, both sources talk about her earlier career.
Okay.
But I feel like TMDB goes into a little bit more detail about the stuff she was doing before she got the Great Grand Masti.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty typical of these databases. Like, they want to be super comprehensive about someone's work. And they include, early projects that maybe weren't as well known. But that, are still part of their professional history.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So TMDB states that she actually got her start modeling during her college days.
Okay.
And she participated in various ramps, which, if you don't know, are like those raised platforms that you see at fashion shows.
Okay, got it.
And she did like a bunch of modeling campaigns.
Yeah.
So it really sounds like she was super involved in the fashion world, even before she started acting.
Yeah, and it's a pretty common path.
Yeah.
Especially in the Indian film industry to start in modeling.
Right.
And a lot of times those skills that you develop in front of the camera and the exposure you get, and even just like the connections you make in the modeling world can be a really good stepping stone into acting.
Totally. Now, what's interesting is that TMDB also mentions that she was in the Miss Maxim 2014 beauty contest.
Okay.
Where she was the runner-up.
Wow.
So even though she didn't win, being in a national beauty contest like that probably got her a ton of attention.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like a lot of media exposure.
Yeah, even if you're not the winner, being the runner-up in something that big
Right.
can generate a lot of buzz
Yeah.
and create opportunities.
Right. And so after that, TMDB says that she moved to Mumbai,
Okay, the big city.
which is the heart of the film and television industry in India.
Yeah.
And she started appearing in advertisements.
Oh, okay.
So it's like this natural progression
Yeah.
from modeling and beauty pageants to like actually doing on-screen work in the biggest city for that industry.
Makes sense. I mean, that move to Mumbai is like a huge deal for anyone who wants to make it in Bollywood.
Right.
And those ads probably gave her even more experience in front of the camera. And she could have started meeting people in the industry.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Famous Birthdays also mentions an earlier digital advertisement for Spartan Poker,
Interesting.
and they put that under their Before Fame section.
Okay.
So even before the film and the beauty pageant, she was already starting to get out there
Right.
and get some exposure through endorsements and stuff.
Yeah. And this just goes to show you, like,
Yeah.
how much the digital age has changed things.
Totally.
Because, now there are all these different ways to gain recognition.
Yeah.
Like, digital ads can reach so many people.
For sure.
And it can really help you build a profile even before you do more traditional stuff like movies and TV.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's shift gears a little bit. We'll
Okay.
talk about her work beyond film.
Okay.
Famous Birthdays mentions that in 2018, she was announced as joining the cast of a TV series called Tu Suraj Main Sanj Piaji.
Okay.
So this shows that she was also trying out TV roles.
Yeah, I think that makes sense
Yeah.
because a lot of actors want to try different things
Right.
to like expand their reach
Right.
and get experience in different formats.
Yeah.
And TV can be a great way to do that because it gives you steady work
Right.
and you can connect with an audience over a longer period of time.
Right, and then TMDB gives us a specific TV credit from 2019
Okay.
for a show called Mona Home Delivery,
Okay.
where she was in 8 episodes playing the character Mona.
Wow.
So we know for sure she was doing some TV work.
Yeah, and that's great that they even tell us how many episodes.
Yes.
Because that shows us that it was a recurring role
Right.
and that she was, more involved than just like a one-time guest appearance.
Exactly. Now for something completely different.
Okay.
TMDB mentioned something really fascinating about her personal interests and background.
Okay.
Apparently, she wanted to be an army officer,
Wow.
and she even participated in the NCC, which is the National Cadet Corps in India.
That's really interesting. It
Yeah.
kind of shows a different side to her.
Right.
It's like she had this whole other ambition
Yeah,
that's really different from the entertainment world.
totally. And her involvement in the NCC shows
Yeah.
that she was really serious about it.
Right.
At least at some point.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Now, TMDB also mentions that she's from a small village in Haryana,
Okay.
which is a pretty big contrast to like the craziness of Mumbai
Yeah, for sure.
and the film industry there.
I mean, that must have been quite a journey. For her, both physically moving to a new place and then in terms of her career.
Yeah.
Like going from a small town to like the heart of Bollywood.
Right, exactly. All right, so let's look at how these sources position her
Okay.
in the larger entertainment world. So, Famous Birthdays gives us some social context
Okay.
by listing other actresses that fans of Kangna Sharma also like to look at.
Okay.
So we see names like Urvashi Vautela, who, as we talk about,
Right.
was in the Great Grand Masti with her, but then also some huge international stars like Emma Watson,
Wow.
Alexa Demie,
Okay.
Jennifer Lawrence, Margot Robbie.
Wow.
So it's a pretty wide range of actresses.
Yeah, and I think that tells you a little bit about her potential audience
Right.
and the kind of actresses that she's connected to in people's minds.
Right.
It could be that they have similar fans or that they've played similar roles
Yeah.
or even just that they have a similar kind of public image. And the fact that there are some international stars on that list shows that her fans might see her as being on that level.
Totally.
Yeah.
Now, Famous Birthdays also ranks her as the 89,252nd most popular person on the whole site
Okay.
and the 20th most popular actress with a birthday on April 3rd.
Okay.
So that gives you a sense of like
Yeah.
how popular she is online.
Right.
At least at the time they put that profile together.
Yeah. And those rankings can change a lot
Yeah.
based on what's happening and who's trending.
Right.
But it does give you like a snapshot
Yeah.
of where she stands.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap up,
Okay.
let's go back to the birthday thing.
Yeah.
Like we said at the beginning, Famous Birthdays says she's younger.
Right.
And TMDB, which is more focused on like the industry side of things,
Yeah.
says she's older.
Right.
And It's worth mentioning that difference, but we're not going to guess why it exists.
Yeah, it happens a lot when you're looking at public figures that you find different information in different sources.
Right.
Sometimes it's official records, sometimes it's public profile.
Right.
And you just have to accept that there might not be one definitive answer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what we've learned is that Kangna Sharma started out in the modeling world, was even the runner-up in a national beauty contest.
Pretty impressive.
And then she made the jump into Bollywood with a pretty big film, The Great Grand Masti.
Yeah.
And we also see her branching out to television.
It sounds like she's pretty ambitious and adaptable.
Right.
Like she went after modeling, got recognition from the beauty pageant, and then used that to get into film.
Great.
And now she's doing TV too.
Yeah, totally. Now, what I think is really interesting is all this background information. Like the fact that she started modeling in college.
Yeah.
That she wanted to be in the Army at one point.
Right.
And that she was in the NCC. And the fact that she comes from this small village in Haryana.
Yeah.
And made it to Mumbai.
Right. It really adds another dimension to her story.
Yeah, for sure. It's like there's more to her than just the acting credits.
Absolutely.
Like you get a sense of who she is as a person.
Yeah. I mean, you have to wonder if those different parts of her background, like the discipline from the NCC and the creativity from modeling and acting, like if those things have influenced her career in ways we don't even realize.
Totally. Now, going back to the birth dates.
Yeah, that was weird.
It really makes you think about how we see public figures and what information is out there about them. Like it shows you that you have to look at multiple sources. Yeah. Because there isn't always just one right answer.
Right, and that public profiles aren't always accurate.
Right, it's like they're constructed and there are all these different factors that affect what information gets out there.
Exactly. So this deep dive has given you a good overview of Kangna Sharma's early career and some really cool background info.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder more about her experience going from modeling to acting and what it was like to be in the NCC and how she navigated starting out in Bollywood, coming from such a different background.
Totally.
Like maybe if you dig into some interviews or other stuff, you can find out even more. Right. It really makes you think.
Yeah, it does.
About the stories behind the public faces we see.
Totally.
Like what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Great talking to you.
You too.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll catch you in the next deep dive.
See you next time.
Bye.